Hey, and welcome to Ascension Denied, a Doom mod that sees you teaming up with a Cyberdemon and guiding your way through a very elaborate and fun level. Now, the thing with this mod is that you don't actually get to do the shooting yourself. You actually make the Cyber, as it's referred to in the game files, do a lot of the shooting for you. So you'll be guiding Cyber around, you'll be completing puzzles, and you'll be making your way through this very well-designed locale. And as you can see, the level is separated into various acts. We're entering the first act here, Stepping Stones, and yeah, it's just really cool having a sort of companion Cyberdemon that you can make do your own bidding. Of course, you've got to train the Cyberdemon, you've got to learn the way that it behaves. There's a very symbiotic connection going on between you and the Cyberdemon. It needs your help and you need its help. And as you kind of progress through these spaces, that is exactly what you're going to be doing. Now I'm going to give you a flavour of this. I don't want to play the whole thing because I think this is something that you should experience. But the first thing I want to say here, this is incredibly fun. I like the parts like this, for example, where the Cyberdemon can't actually come to help you. You've got to make your own way through the levels, and as such, you've got to do your own bidding, and it leaves you feeling very vulnerable. It makes you feel like you are alone in this space. The Cyberdemon cannot come to help you. You can climb, you can run around, but ultimately, you are reliant on the Cyberdemon for protection in a lot of these spaces. And in turn, you are helping the Cyberdemon to get through these spaces. As you can see, we're going to raise this platform up and it's going to allow the Cyberdemon to come up here. And this is one of the things that I really like. There's just a very nice feedback loop here of you are learning the mechanics, and as you can see, we're being given instructions on the screen. And the instructions are very clear, very simple, and easy to follow. I've actually played through this a few times already, and I have to say, I just love the general vibes of this one. The spaces have been crafted to really accentuate and really put forward the mechanics that are at play here, and it never really gets too complicated. I think that's something that I really appreciate. This mod understands that less is more. You're taught all the key mechanics, and then the game levels challenge you in how to use those. For example, here we are helping the Cyberdemon to pass, and obviously we cannot leave until he is passed over the top there. It's little things like that that just make it feel fun. And I also love the little conversations between Cyber and ThatNukemGuy. It helps to create this feeling that there is a sort of relationship being formed between the two. There's trust, and you're building that kind of connection that I discussed earlier on. I also kind of get the vibe of some classic games here. So this kind of makes me feel like you're playing through something like Turok or Tomb Raider, where you're sort of climbing around in these big open spaces, trying to kind of find the way forward. German Peter refers to Ico and The Last Guardian, as well as puzzle games like Portal and The Talos Principle, as direct inspirations for this, and you can feel those inspirations in this. But none of them sort of overcrowd what is going on here. For example, we need to cross this gap here. There's no buttons that actually raise that up on this side, so we actually have to get the Cyberdemon to stand in the middle here, and we actually get to use the Cyberdemon as a sort of platform. Again, it's very simple, and the way that it's sort of used here really is understated, because I feel that it's not showy, it doesn't feel like it can break, it's just a very simple mechanic that's being used to push this experience along. It's also incredibly satisfying to see Cyber kind of wander up behind you, and it never gets boring hearing those footsteps. It's so strange though, feeling like you're friends with a Cyberdemon here. It is really fun and interesting. It's a very novel take, but just look at this space here. Just look how nice this looks. It's not boring, it's very well detailed, not overly detailed as well. I think that's something that I really appreciate. It The level design is solid, and the environment here, it's threatening but also very lonely. It feels like it's just you and the Cyberdemon here. The use of colors, very nice, and again, everything is very well laid out. You never feel like you're being messed around by the level design, which I really appreciate, because with some mods, sometimes the urge is to hide things from the player to make their way forward really difficult, and I feel that this avoids that pitfall. Now, obviously, as you make your way through this, there's a lot more experiences. So later on, you actually have to use blasts from the rocket launcher from Cybe in order to clear over some pathways and things like that. There's always a fresh new twist here, and there is only one level of this, but it's a long level split into different acts. So you are going to be doing a lot of adventuring and exploring in this one. Just admiring the locality here. The use of texture work, very, very well done. I hope you know what you're doing. And what is important to note as well is that you are a very fragile human. You can die pretty easily from fall damage, you can die from enemies, and yes, there are enemies in this game. We've not seen any yet because the game is teaching, and I really appreciate that the first act of this game is just one long tutorial. It's basically teaching you the mechanics so that you are well equipped enough later on to know what to do. Look at the use of lighting there. Very, very understated, very, very cool. Also love blasting the doors with the rocket launcher. So as we come into here, I want to bring the Cybe in here. You build this sort of relationship with Cybe, you come to realize that you can't really do much outside of climbing walls and platforming, so you've got to make use of Cybe in very, very creative ways, and sometimes there are traps like this. Now, Cybe will do his absolute best here to help us. I sort of like to herd all these little pinkies in here. Now, there are other encounters in the game, so it's not just pinkies you're going to be facing. There's a whole bunch of enemies that you'll be coming across as you make your way through the levels, and they do get a bit more complex. So if you feel that this is a bit simple, trust me, it gets pretty difficult at points. If you're wondering how long this is, well, it's about 2 to 3 hours. When I first played this, it took about 2.5 hours. On my second playthrough, I managed to get that down closer to 2 hours. Like I said, it is just one long level, so you can't just skip to the end of this. You've got to experience all of this, and I do recommend that. I feel that the quality on show here, it can't be denied, and it's just really, really fun to sort of experience the Doom sort of world through this kind of lens, because you don't usually get to experience fighting alongside the demons. Look at him there. Look how handsome he is. Shoot that wall over there for me. And there are some fun little twists. I'm not going to give those away here because I feel that giving away some of the bigger twists in this, I think, robs the experience. I want to give a flair. Oh, and you can die. Like I said, you are a very fragile human in this. I think this is one of those mods that you really need to experience rather than having me rattle through the key moments, like some of the better levels that come later on. And yes, some of the later levels are gorgeous. They are really, really fun to explore. There's a lot of interesting moments throughout, and you can see here the complexity of this space is sort of ramping up because now we are kind of having to use the Cyberdemon to wander across multiple spaces here. Jump across. But this is one of the things I love about Doom. It's the versatility, it's the ability of the community to create something that's just so unique like this, because obviously there have been companion mods made before, but they're not really like this. This has such a unique vibe and an interesting sort of spin on that concept, and the controls, they do take a minute to get used to. Obviously, you are going to need to make use of GZ Doom here. I recommend the most up-to-date GZ Doom. I tried to use an older one at first and it did not play nicely with this. So I do recommend grabbing hold of the more up-to-date GZ Doom. It's also worth noting that you can't just point randomly anywhere and get the Cyberdemon to go where you want. if the Cyberdemon can't sort of get a line of sight on the pathway, it's not going to go where you tell it to. Interesting use of the toxic roof there. But moments like this, for example, you are so far away from the Cyberdemon here, and it's one of those things where you just realize how lonely you are in this space. It creates that foreboding sense of terror and dread. It really does take the core Doom experience and knock it on its head, which I think is super well done here. And I feel that a lot of people, even if they don't complete it, I think they'll appreciate what this brings to a table, because this is trying something different. It's offering up a new spin on that core Doom experience, and it's taking one of Doom's more iconic enemies and it's adding some sort of character, some narrative, because I won't look at Cyberdemons the same way after the experience in this, let me tell you. And you can see you don't have to be near the Cyberdemon to guide it. The Cyberdemon just has to be sort of in the line of sight of where you want things to go. But what I'm going to do here, I think that I'm not going to go much further with this. I might do a full playthrough of this at some point, because I'm just that impressed by it, and I love the atmosphere, the vibes. I love the use of music when there are enemies in the area. I love the sort of just way that this is framed. Everything about this just hits the right spot for me. I do have some small niggles with what goes on later on, but honestly, I'm such a fan of this, and I genuinely would love to see more of this kind of thing. This is the kind of thing I love from the Doom mod community. Let me know what you think of this.